Yeah, that's the whole thing too. Like, it's interesting. We were talking about, there's people there's all kinds of musicians and tangential music people that have rules, and rules are important to get better as a musician, as they are with anything. But at the same token, they shouldn't be used to lord over people in terms of being able to give them insecurity complexes or whatever the case may be. And a lot of that is, you hear, oh, too many notes or not enough notes. I think a more constructive way to say it is that it's not how many notes you play, it's what you say, because that works both ways.
Sure.
It could be pithy, and you're saying a lot with very few notes, or you tell great stories by using a lot of notes. They're both valid, you know what I mean? But, people have a tendency to, oh, it's too many notes. It's like, well, if you're not saying anything, then it doesn't matter how many notes you play.
Right.
But if you're saying an interesting story, I always find it interesting too, is that a lot of the people are like, oh, there's too many notes. Are the same people that have, 15 verses to a song. It's like, well, guess what? There's too many words in your damn song. You talk too much.
Well, yeah, and if someone's just ripping through a whole bunch of notes, it's the equivalent of someone who just talks and talks and talks.
Exactly.
Endlessly, and you're like, I'm not finding this interesting.
Right.
Then you get someone go, well, I think, and you're like, yes.
Well, it's just like, I like to listen to, I will not say I'm an expert by any stretch of the imagination, but I do enjoy listening to East Indian classical music, right? And there's this slide guitar player, well, he's his own version of a slide guitar, Dabadish Bhattacharya, I think his name is. And I was just watching a video, I was on Instagram or whatever, and he's like, oh, here's my thing, and he's like, I was like, there are a lot of notes, but that's what it
calls
is.
For.
That's what it's called for,
Yeah.
But there'd be some guy like, oh, you should really, it's like, no, that's your thing.
Going back to the rules.
Exactly.
Yeah, their own hang-ups.
Right.
So how about this? We get rid of the word rules when it comes to music, and we will substitute guidelines.
There you go. I like it.
There's some guidelines. Some guidelines we should follow. Stay in here. You know what? If you want to go over here, go over here.
Right.
Try it out.
If that were, as my wife likes to say, that's on you. I mean, if there's certain things that you're going to gravitate to. I mean, yeah, there's general rules of engagement.
Yeah.
To make the work. But then there's all these gray areas.
Sure.
That people like to foist. The hierarchy of taste and so on and so forth.
Well, if someone's playing a C chord and you lay on a C sharp note,
right?
That's going to sound a way.
Right.
And
exactly.
It's your decision whether, well, I don't care what the rule is.
Right.
This is what I want to give the music now. And like you said earlier, you do you.
Right.
You be you.
Exactly.
But I wouldn't play C sharp over C.
Right. No, I wouldn't do that. I was saying earlier, it's like there's a lot of people that they think they're painting outside the lines by painting so inside the lines. You know what I mean?
Sure.
That they memorize all the minutiae about a certain genre and so on and so forth, and they're so into it that they think that they're, iconoclasts for becoming so entrenched in the dogma of something.
Right.
You know what I mean? And again, there's nothing wrong with that. If somebody wants to play things the way they were back in 19 whatever. Cool. Just don't be a dick about it.
Right. Yeah, I think they call those people purists.
Yes.
But we might have
And if they do it out of the pure love of it and so on and so forth.
But you're boxing other people in with your preconceived notion of what something should be.
Right.
Which the funny thing is that the people who created that music were not adhering to that philosophy at all.
Exactly.
They were doing something totally new.
Exactly.
So it seems strange to...
Right. Yeah, it's like that music was born out of innovation and people doing new things, but all of a sudden, no, that was it.
Right.
Everything else is heresy.
Right.
Or, you know what I mean? Or watering down the initial essence of whatever.
Right.
But, yeah, interesting.